Hello, everybody. It's hard, in Norway we have a saying, it's hard to jump after Wirkola. But Wirkola was a ski jumper, so I don't know if you have any ski jumps here. But thank you, girls. I just want to say I didn't understand everything, but burn eiga rett, I support that. Yes, I work in the Norwegian Directorate for Children and Family Affairs. And actually, I think my talk here will be a little bit different from Terje's talk. And I decided that I had forgotten a lot of English, so I have three choices. If I lose a word, I will either speak the word in Norwegian, ask Terje, or say, I love you. And actually, I was fooled to come here. I met Bragi some months ago in Riga, and he used to be my hero. He didn't know by then, but he was my hero. And he named me Svanhildur. And you know, and my colleagues think that's so funny that in the directorate now they call me Svanhildur, because Svanhild is the most old-fashioned name ever in Norway. It's just 2-3 of us existing, and Svanhildur sounds even worse. Okay, since this is after lunch, and I don't know why this story about people are not listening after lunch, I don't believe it, because we have eaten, but I still wanted to show you a little cartoon. I wrote it together with a social worker, and it shows what family conference is. But before I start, how many of you know of family group conference? Raise your hand. Okay, interesting. Okay. Can you please snurr film, as we say in Norway? It lasts about 6 minutes.
Hi, I'm Mina, and I'm 12. My mom and dad are divorced. They argue over everything, and especially about me. Dad has got a new family now, and never has time for me. Not even to take me to football practice. And I have to sleep on the couch because I don't have my own room. So Mom is very mad at Dad, and they always fight when they meet up. Even though I like it best at Mom's place, I have to stay at Dad's when she is ill. Her sickness makes her mood go very up and down, and sometimes she even has to go to hospital. It's not fun to be late all the time. Even though my teacher is nice. Because my stomach hurts all the time, I forget things. And sometimes even my homework. Eventually, my school contacted the child services. Anita from the Child Welfare Services was going to be looking after my case, and she suggested that me and my family hold a family group conference. Family group conference means that me and my family and other grown-ups I know well will meet up. Then everyone talks about how they can help me. The nice thing is that I'm allowed to decide what we should talk about. These are the questions that me, Mom, and Anita agreed upon. 1. How can it be better for me at school? 2. Who can take me to football? 3. How can it be nicer for me at Dad's? 4. How can it be nicer for me at Mom's? The only thing missing was a question about how I can get to spend more time with Coco. Anita thought that was a good question. Gunnar, who is our coordinator, will help me ask everyone if they want to come to the meeting. I think it's good that I get to say in who can come to my family group conference. This is what we decided. Dad, well, 'cause he's Dad. Gunnar thinks that Jorunn, Dad's new girlfriend, should come. Jonas, Arvid, and Maya are not allowed to come. They are Jorunn's children, and this is my family group conference, so now I want to have Dad for myself. Uncle Truls, he doesn't like Mom much, but I know he likes me, so he can come. Helga is Truls' daughter. She has given me lots of her old clothes, and she is 17. She can come. My grandmother lives abroad, so she can't come. But Nana can. I chose Mona, Mom's friend, to be my support person, 'cause she knows me really well. She will help me before and during the family group conference. My teacher is also coming, so he can explain how things are for me at school. And of course, Coco. Even though she can't talk, she will be there as my best friend. I am a bit nervous about the family group conference. What if everyone argues and no one wants to come? I had butterflies in my stomach the day of the family group conference. It was strange to sit there, but it was nice that so many turned up.
Welcome everyone. I'm glad to see that so many people could make it to Mina's family group conference.
My teacher and the child services explained what they thought would be best for me. Then the family group conference began, and no one argued. Uncle Truls wrote down what we decided. This is what we agreed upon. I can walk to school on my own, but if I need some help, Nana will come and take me to school. Helga will visit me once a week and help me with my homework. Daddy or Uncle Truls will take me to football practice. Jorunn said that I can visit her and Dad and Coco whenever I feel like it, even if it wasn't planned. Dad will build me my own room so I don't have to share anymore. If Mom is ill or has to go to hospital, I will stay with Dad. Mom will let Dad know if she is ill. And best of all, Coco will come and stay with me and Mom during the weekends. Mom and Dad agrees and they have both said yes. I only have to make sure Coco gets her walk in the morning and in the evening. We are going to have another family group conference soon. And before that, there will be meetings with the child welfare services. I can go along if I want to. The family group conference was actually quite nice. Coco thought so too. Things are much better at school now that Mom and Dad don't have so much to argue about. And I can be with Coco as much as I want. I actually look forward to the next family group conference, and so does Coco.
Do I need to make it bigger or? Yeah, perfect. I hope you all realized that the perspective in the film was the child's perspective. And I think ideas are powerful. One major idea can give you the reason to act. Although we know that entering a conference very seldom make any changes, unfortunately, there might be somebody here reflecting of the film and thinking, I have to do something different. I've been working with the Family Group Conference since 2004. First, I started with the research, and I was actually going to do my PhD, but then I decided I wanted to be a bureaucrat, because I wanted to see if it was possible to survive into the system and make changes within the system. So from 2007, I have had my work in the Norwegian Directorate for Children, mainly working with family group conference and also children's participation in general. I don't know about you, but sometimes when I go and meet social workers, I ask them at trainings, if you really had a big crisis and you have children, but you are not able to take care of your children, would you take the phone and call our office and ask for a foster parent? Very seldom I have met somebody saying yes. Most family, they have their own ideas where to place children if they are in need. And I think that's the same all over. In the beginning today, it was interesting because we mentioned soccer. And we are all more than we can see. I'm also a football supporter. You wouldn't think of that. That's why I'm in blue, of course, because of your country's color. But my hometown is Molde. It's a small town in the western part of Norway, and we always have been dependent on Icelandic football players, and of course Eidur, he was a hero. So, you know, and you probably recognize the other one, that's Ole Gunnar Solskjær. He also came back home to Molde. So I think I was quite lucky about this slide. Yeah, and we are always more than we think. I also have a home, Oslo. I've lived there for 25 years. It has changed, hasn't it? I don't know if many of you have been there lately, but this is the barcode. This is the new area in central Oslo, and we had a lot of discussions before architects started building it, a lot of debates, and a lot of persons thought they will ruin the city. And it's interesting, you know, because this is also about creativity. And last week, I went to the States because I'm studying knowledge management at the moment. And it was a kind of scary travel because they told me, in 10 years' time, 60% of you will have no work. It will be the artificial intelligence taking over. And I was thinking, my God. And I was reflecting on, I've always been very keen about being flexible, creative regarding family group conference because I don't think that we can stick to a method developed 20 years ago and continue the same. So this is also a metaphor. Unless we are having methods that is useful practitioners, they will not survive. So when I asked my own field, the bureaucracy, the social workers, I find us quite not so innovative. I don't know about you, but to me, I got something to reflect on because maybe we have to be a bit more innovative. So this presentation is actually introduction to the method, and I hope you all could grasp the most important themes from the movie. I will spend a little time telling you about how we use family group conference in different areas, because I know not all of you work in child welfare, and in Norway it was decided after the research that we should anchor the method into the child welfare, but it could be chosen differently. And now, after 10 years, we see that a lot of municipalities use the method in a much broader area, health, elderly, school problems. So for all of you, thinking about, is this method actually of importance for me, not working in the child welfare? For me, the future is a service that is without boundaries. It doesn't matter for families if they are belong to municipalities or state. They want good services. Maybe in the end, I don't have much time to talk so much about experiences from implementation in Norway because 30 minutes is not a lot. But I will give you one advice, if it's to the ministry. We spent too much time in Norway thinking about implementation is possible with best practice. Social workers, they have a lot of things to do, time pressure, and unless there is some kind of reward or pressure, things are not changing very fast. So just the recent years when we have put pressure on that, we can see from the discussion from our minister discussing whether or not family group conference should be inside the law, then things changed. Because in Norway at least, it's very much like the social workers can decide for themselves what kind of methods to use. So we spent a lot of time, and it also has a lot to do with leadership and framework from the government. So what you saw from the film is that family group conference is a mean of involving family and close support persons in making and carrying out plans to safeguard children. The method was actually constructed. It's not from the States, but from New Zealand, the quite opposite. And it came from the practitioners who were not satisfied with the things in the society. So the Maori people decided that they wanted a saying, and we want decisions to be made the way we do it. A child is not only a concern for the parents, but for the whole network. So actually, in New Zealand, they decided or created the method in 6 months. And to be honest, they didn't really evaluate it when they put it into the law. So since the emergence in New Zealand, around 30 countries in the world are using it. And we are using it more or less in the same way, but it's still like you compare apples and pears. But you have the same family fruit. So there are some differences. And in Norway, when you take a method from New Zealand and kind of implement it into maybe the part of the world where you are most focused on children's participation and children as individuals, and not only as the belonging to the family, you have to be aware of the adaptation and how to transform that into the municipalities. So in Europe, some are criticizing Norway because we have such a clear focus on children's participation. And if there is a disagreement between the family saying and the child saying, well, then the social worker must do what she always has to do, or him. But there are most women. You have to take into consideration every opinion and weigh very heavily the voice of the child. So in Norway, we use family group conference in all child welfare cases, and as I said, it can be used outside the child welfare system as well. The method, we used to be quite radical, but now we are very much in accordance with the conventions, so we are more and more popular. We have had this discussion in Norway whether or not to put it into the law. We don't have any. It's not normal in Norway to put a method, a name of a method like MST into the law. And we had actually a discussion with the minister, and I disagreed, because I think there are some occasions you shouldn't have an FGC. But it's necessary to have it into the procedures, so you have to argue if you have not offered a family and family group conference. And then, of course, it's up to the families to decide whether or not this is a good idea. So, family group conference has very clear values, and it has a lot to do with us as social workers. Do we believe in partnership? Do we think we are experts ourselves? I've been lucky in I had 4 foster children, youths, in the 19th. I learned a lot from the experiences, and actually last week, the last one, he's 38 now, he visited me in Oslo, and he was just going on a weekend trip to Buenos Aires, Friday to Monday. Weird word. But we have discussed a lot the experiences from moving into a strange and not known family. And for him, he said later, it would have been much better if he had a family group conference, because then we could cooperate. Because in his family, it was like the families was separated from the decision-making, from the service. They lost their autonomy. There was no bonding to the plans made by the social worker, and it was resistant from our work as well. So in my opinion, citizens want control about their own lives. They want information about possibilities and coherence in services. In the film, you could probably recognize some core components. You saw this coordinator, Gunnar. That's the name in Iceland as well, or Gunnardur, Gunnar. We have between 250 and 300 coordinators in Norway. They are all trained and they are into the stately system because it will be too complicated in Norway having 428 municipalities to arrange for this system on their own. So we have made it easier for them because we also need family group conference in our stately institutions and when we are working. So we have arranged it. We give them training and we also support them in every case when it's necessary. They are ordinary people. Some of them are teachers, some have like 5-10 family group conferences a year, some work part-time and have a lot of family group conferences. Gunnar, as you saw in the film, he was a former policeman. And we know from research that coordinators are very, very important. You could see that the extended network was mobilized. And in family group conference, family is who is important for the family. And as you could see, the dog was some kind of a family member. The child welfare workers should have a positive attitude towards the plan. They should believe in people's opportunities. If not, they should not have a family group conference. And to provoke a bit, I would say they maybe should have another work. In a family group conference, the family sits alone, apart, because we believe if we give them necessary information, they are capable of making good plans. And if we sit there, they will very easily try to make plans that we professionals will like. So that's why, and we have a lot of experience that this is working very well. And almost every children participates in the family group conference, 95%. They might participate in a part or the whole part. And it's different ways of participating. But we arrange all the family group conferences when we look at the child and try to make the best out of it. So in Norway this last year we had around 1,500 new family group conferences. And is this a lot or not? Well, in 2013 we had 750, so it's probably the method that is gaining more and more support from social workers as well. It's both the municipalities and the stately level. And as Terje told you before, it's more the municipalities in charge of things. But if a child is placed in institutions, and around 1,200 children are in Norwegian institutions, then we have a family group conference either before, while the child is there, or to plan moving out. And also it would be an excellent idea, I think, to have an FGC after the treatment of multisystemic therapy, because then you could give a little bit more support to make sure that you are into the process of things going okay. We have now, the last year, starting with using family group conference also in domestic violence. I wouldn't recommend that as the first step, because we train the coordinators especially, and we also work closely with the police, and also we have to take into consideration risk factors. This is just showing that family group conference is a process, it's very flexible, and it's a lot of structure at the same time. It's almost like if you making a bread or doing a recipe. In the beginning, you need to know exactly what to put in. But after some time, you know a little bit of this and a little bit of this, and it will improve. And it's not only one meeting, it's always two. There's no rule for that. And also a family group conference can be 4 persons attending or 52. You can never say, it's flexible. Here is Norway, and the dots are the persons in the stately team working with the implementation. Altogether, we are about 12 persons. And of course, we have had research. There is some research lacking. For instance, we don't know so much about long-term effects. And we know also that the action plans is quite difficult to keep an eye on unless you have a process with a lot of family group conferences. But we also know positive experiences by participants. 97% of the persons in the national project, parents and children, will recommend family group conference to others. So that was really great signs. We know the coordinator is essential. We know that it leads to more placement in family and network. And we have good evaluation in conflict cases. And now we are into using FGC in emergency cases, because families and social workers, they do not have the time to wait for a family group conference that takes 4 to 8 weeks. After 48 hours, 3 days, we are able to have a family group conference. And sometimes you can prevent the moving out, or you are moved out to an emergency house, but then it's decided that it's probably better to stay with your friend's parents or with your aunt or whatever. So this will be a very interesting research project. We are until 2021. Yeah, I told you that we are now into more severe cases with violence. We have learned from Manchester, Your Family Matters, the best team in Europe for dealing with that, and we will continue on that. I would just say a little bit about some cases. This is Joseph, he's Polish, and he was from one of the domestic cases. At the moment, he's now living with his aunt. His mother is at the shelter. The police is still investigating, but the family group conference focus was how can we protect Joseph, because the father wanted contact, and we decided that Joseph should never be alone with his father. So this is a process. We will not know how it will work out, but we are on our way. This case I was involved in, they do not look very Vietnamese though, but we had 4 children, and a caseworker called me, or somebody else, and said, we need foster parents for 4 children from Vietnam. And we said, have you presented family group conference? Because we have translated this movie to Vietnamese. And I said, no, do we really need to present that, because we don't think there is any network? But so they did. And the 4 children are now placed in another town in Norway with their relatives, 2 plus 2. There were a lot of resources, pharmacists, dentists. We didn't know about it. And what else? The family bought, mother and father, an apartment nearby so they could visit. So in just this translation of the film saved the Norwegian society quite a lot. We use family group conference in education, because why should it be a child welfare case? Sometimes it's only a case for the school. And also sometimes it's necessary to involve the adults and not the children. And so we use the same method in that. Well, we have some challenges. I don't think I will spend much time about that, but I'll just give you a brief history. 3 years ago, my father got Alzheimer. And I thought, what can I learn from what I've been working with? So I called the municipality and said, I want to invite you to a meeting at my home, together with my mother and my brother and some friends, because we have to sort out. There is no place for him at the moment, but we have to sort out with you professionals who is doing who. And it was hard to say no. I even sent the invitation, written invitation, you are welcome, and I had food, as you always have in family group conference. And this was the beginning of a really good relationship. Maybe I fooled them a little because we got a place like 2-3 months later. But anyway, I think going into partnerships with social workers or others, it's important. So I just want to say good luck to you all, and repeat again, ideas are powerful. One major idea can give you a reason to act. Thank you very much.